Hello everyone. When you hear the term 5,000 meters race, what image comes to mind? Most runners tend to fall into one of two camps. Beginners often think it's much shorter than a marathon, so it must be easier. On the other hand, runners with more experience often say it's tougher than a marathon because the pace is so much faster. And this leads to one of the biggest misconceptions in running. What is the misconceptions?
I'm Tex, a Japanese marathon coach. Let's get started.
That misconception is speed is the most important thing for running a fast 500 meters. At first glance, that sounds reasonable. After all, the pace of a 5,000 meters race is much faster than marathon pace. As a result, many runners focus almost entirely on speed workouts such as interval and short repetitions. Some even convince themselves that they are not suited for the 5,000 meters because they are not naturally fast over short distances. But the truth is, that's not how it works. You can run a fast 5,000 meters without having exceptional speed. Why? Because the 5,000 meters is still fundamentally an endurance event. From the physiological perspective, roughly 80 to 90% of the energy used during a 5,000 meters race comes from aerobic metabolism. In other words, 5,000 meters performance is determined far more by endurance than by sprinting ability. Of course, pure speed, the ability to sprint all out over 100 meters, is still helpful. However, it is not the most important factor that determines your 5,000 meters time. What really matters is how efficiently your body can produce energy. That is why runners who rely on speed training often hit a plateau. It's true that lactate accumulates during a 5,000 meters race because the pace is reliability high. Therefore, you do need the ability to tolerate lactate. Workouts such as hill sprint and short intervals are effective for developing that ability. However, those workouts are only one piece of the puzzle. The most important thing is building a strong aerobic foundation. And the key to that foundation is the mitochondria. Mitochondria are structures within your cells that produce energy using oxygen. The most mitochondria you have and the better they function, the more efficiently you can generate energy. As a result, you become a stronger endurance athlete, whether in the 5,000 meters or the marathon. So, how do you increase the number and function of your mitochondria? That answer is simple. Consistent running at a moderate intensity. If the intensity is too high, you cannot sustain the training or recover properly. If the intensity is too low, the stimulus is insufficient. That is why moderate intensity running is so important. Especially during the base building phase, your ability to consistently perform moderate intensity runs is critical. This type of training improves endurance, enhances recovery, and creates the foundation needed for future performance gains. However, endurance alone is not enough because the pace of a 500 meters race is reliability first. Another factor becomes important. Running economy. Running economy refers to how little oxygen you use while running at a given pace. For example, imagine a runner who used to run 430 per kilometer at a moderate effort. After a month of consistent training, that same runner may be able to run 420 per kilometer while feeling exactly the same effort. That is an improvement in running economy. The same principle applies to 5,000 meter racing. The less oxygen you require at a race pace, the longer you can maintain that pace. And this leads to what we commonly call speed endurance. Whether you are racing a 5,000 meters or marathon, you must be able to sustain your target pace if you want to achieve your goal time. That is why, as race day approaches, you gradually need to incorporate workouts that closely resemble the determines of the race itself. So what should you actually do? The answer is quite simple. First, build your aerobic capacity. Specifically, increase the frequency of moderate intensity runs lasting around 30 to 40 minutes. At the same time, gradually increase your weekly or monthly mileage as much as your body can handle consistently. This aerobic foundation is the most important starting point. Then, once that foundation is in place, begin adding more 5,000 meters specific workouts. Sessions such as 1,000 meter intervals and race pace runs are extremely effective. However, they deliver their greatest benefits only after aerobic fitness has been well developed. That is why it is important to remember. Even though the 5,000 meters is a fast event, it is still fundamentally a long-distance race. Instead of chasing speed alone, first, build your aerobic engine, develop your endurance, improve your running economy, and then add race-specific training. If you follow that progression, you will improve not only your 5,000 meter performance, but your marathon performance as well. Alright, that is for today. Lastly, if you want to get faster without injuries and overtraining, I recommend reading The 3 Factors You Should Know to Get Faster Dramatically Without Any Injuries and Overtraining. It was written by professional runner and coach Ikegami Hideyuki, the top Japanese finisher at the Osaka Marathon, and also he is my boss. If you are serious and improving, check the link below.
Alright, that is for today. This movie helps you. Hit like, subscribe, and I will see you in next video. Okay, keep running. Bye.